All right guys, welcome to the Wrenched Out Reviews, which is on the Wrenched Out Experiment YouTube channel. So thank you for tuning in today. And today we're going to jump into and discuss carrying a firearm on your persons or with you. So stay tuned. All right guys, so it's kind of a controversial topic and has been for quite a while, and that is either carrying concealed, which is dependent on your state, county, and everything else, and carrying a weapon with you, or not carrying anything at all and going to the alternative, which is either calling for help or having mace or a taser or something of that sort. But today I wanted to talk about this because I've had a lot of people that are on both sides of the fence, left and right side, on whether they believe you should carry. Some people don't carry and don't think you should carry. So let's kind of talk about it and give you guys our perspective of what we think. So obviously, Alaska, if you don't know, is an open carry conceal state, which means you can carry without having a license. Now, personally, I carry the Glock 30, which for this video, I'm using the Black Hawk holster, which in my opinion is one of the best if you're gonna be carrying a weapon, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. The weapon is empty, the magazine's empty for the sake of the video. Down below me here is the ammunition. It's completely cleared, so there won't be any accidental discharges for this video. And I suggest if you're gonna shoot a video or do demonstrations of any kind, make sure that the ammunition is cleared from your weapon, just to be up front, so everybody understands where we're at. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Because Alaska is an open carry conceal state, it's very interesting on the dynamic and the people that you see here. So again, I personally carry conceal. Sometimes I do use the holster on the side. As you can see, I'm a little bit of a bigger guy, so I'm not really hiding a whole lot. I do tuck it if I am carrying it on my persons. I'm not one of those types of people that like to stand around or walk around the store with their gun hanging out. Now, I've seen this on multiple occasions now throughout the years of me personally carrying and being at a multitude of stores, and I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't suggest doing that for numerous reasons, primarily because if you're walking around in a public venue of any kind, there's gonna be people of all kinds of natures and creeds, some for guns, some against guns, but you have a firearm on your side kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. And in the event that there is an emergency of any kind, to where, let's just say worst case scenario, there's an active shooter of some sort, you then become a target because you have an exposed firearm. Or maybe they took count of you when you walked into the store, or maybe they were walking around the store. You then could become a target, or you could be identified fairly easily. Also, I've seen on numerous occasions people kind of pointing and gawking when someone walks around and they've got their gun out and they're sitting there doing whatever. Now, is it right or wrong? Well, from the state's views, depending on the store, the location, the area that you're actually carrying that weapon, as long as it deems, I guess, within the law, then you're good to go. However, personally, and I'm not trying to hide my firearm to any degree, I just don't feel that it's a necessity to sit there and show people that I have a firearm on me. The way that I look at firearms, and hopefully most of you look at firearms, it's in the event of an extreme emergency. It isn't for some guy being a jerk in the car. It isn't for somebody cutting lines at Walmart or somewhere else. This is a tool that should only be used in extreme circumstances when my life or my family's life is threatened. And I can't stress that enough. It isn't to be cool. It isn't to just have a firearm on me as a person. And you should look at that or consider your reasoning prior to carrying a firearm. So let's continue moving forward with this conversation though. So that's kind of my perspective of it. I do, again, conceal and carry. Alaska, if you're not from here, it's been getting kind of crazy for being as small of a populace as it is. There's been a lot of crazy things happening, which includes firearms and just crazy people here. So I don't want to be defenseless, which kind of leads me to my next point. Why do I conceal and carry, or why do I carry a firearm? I carry a firearm, like I said earlier, to prevent myself or my family, if I'm with them, from being a victim of some extreme circumstance. And those extreme circumstances, you have to keep in mind, are not, it's the 1 in 1 million chance or 1 in a billion chance for you to be put into those. But when and if you are put in those situations, there's a couple of key things that you have to do if you are carrying a firearm or if you're not. If you are carrying a firearm, of course, some tips that I highly suggest you doing if you haven't done, or maybe you're an advanced firearm specialist of some sort, is obviously whatever firearm you're carrying with you. This again is the Glock 30. I've owned this for multiple years. I've taken it to the range on several occasions. I'm quite comfortable not only with handling the weapon, cleaning the weapon, unloading, reloading. I know my distances, I know all of that fun stuff, but it's not about what I know, it's about what you know. So if you buy a firearm, you really should spend hours at the range. If you're not comfortable with that, get with someone that is, and that is a professional, so you can get trained on how to properly handle your gun. And that's simply because you get a new firearm, you've only discharged it a couple of times in the life of the firearm or since you've owned it. You're asking for situations, you're asking for problems, especially in the event of an emergency, which is really the only time you should be pulling this out outside of range time, unless you're hunting or some type of recreational use. So get to know your firearm. There's nothing more important, which includes the safeties, which includes how to properly lock it, get it ready for action if you ever need to do so. So spend your time doing this. It's absolutely critical, and it may be imperative to not only your life safety, but the ones that you care about the most. So obviously seek some help if you don't have it. If not, and you're a comfortable firearm owner and you have multiple, a lot of us do, just get it out to the range. Know where your sighting is, know your distance, know how to handle your firearm before something happens, and hopefully nothing ever happens. So on another note, let's continue moving forward. So obviously get some training. If you don't need training or you're deemed competent with a firearm, obviously get it to the range. I own an assortment of pistols, assortment of rifles, but every weapon is different. And to understand that weapon is absolutely critical in the event of an emergency. So next thing, I obviously have the Glock 30, and this bad boy holds 10 rounds. So it's a 45 caliber. Now use the caliber of pistol in which you're comfortable with. Really, I'm actually thinking about going from the 45 over to the Glock 19, in which I own a Glock 19. And the reason is the bulk, the distance, the caliber, how many bullets it actually holds. There's a lot of reasons why I'm considering that. But be comfortable and have the right pistol for whatever it is you're doing. In addition to that, so this holds 10 rounds. In the event of an emergency, I do carry 2 magazines on my persons if I am carrying. That's 20 rounds of ammunition. There's multiple reasons I do that. The primary reason would be I feel that if an emergency did break out, 10 rounds, depending on how many people are in the situation or what event I may be responding to, especially a home invasion or something in a public venue, which God forbid any of that happening. But if it were to happen, I want some backup, and that's 10 extra rounds. Now, obviously you can go 10, 20, 30. You can have a whole backpack full of ammo. That I think is a little bit in excess. And we'll talk about carrying that in a minute. That's why I've got a couple examples of some items behind me. So I do suggest at least having 2 magazines, depending on how well your magazine, how big it is. But the other thing is, for this video, obviously my magazine is empty. I'm doing that for video demonstration. I do carry a loaded magazine when I have it with me. However, my weapon is generally not loaded and ready to go. I do that for multiple reasons. A, I have kids. B, I'm in transition a lot. I change and move my firearm a lot, not necessarily out of the holster. However, I am in transition frequently enough to where I feel that it's best suited for me to not have one in the chamber. However, that's a simple action in the event of an emergency of any kind. Being key or staying frosty or whatever it is you want to call it is something that if anything starts to escalate, be prepared. Don't overreact, but be prepared to take a stand. And if that stand deems for a firearm being pulled, you would better be conscious of what is going on. So I do suggest 2 magazines. Obviously I have a spare magazine that I do carry with me, but let's kind of move it forward a little bit. So I do carry on my persons. If you are carrying on your persons, those are some of the examples that I highly suggest. If you're not comfortable with carrying on your persons, some people aren't. I know quite a few people that don't like to carry on their persons. In fact, so there's many times where I don't carry on my waistband simply because I do have my kids with me or I'm in and out of stuff, in and out of places, but I do carry a weapon with me. Now here's a couple of quick examples so we don't drag this on too long. You know, the briefcase or the man purse or whatever you want to call this. I carry this with me on occasion because I do a lot of notes and I carry some computer equipment with me. This is kind of a light travel bag that I throw in. There are times where this will be with me the whole day and then my firearm will be in there ready to go with an extra magazine. So if you are carrying this, something of this nature, or maybe you've got a backpack and you're out hiking or you're bike riding or you're motorcycle riding or whatever it is, these are both great options. I've carried firearms in both of them and I'll continue to. Just keep in mind where the weapon's located, what's the configuration, is the magazine in it, is there 2 magazines loose, what is going on with it, and then of course if you're leaving it in your vehicle, are you not leaving it in your vehicle, where are you parked, what is the location, what kind of building are you entering. There's a lot of things that you got to take into consideration, not only for the fact of carrying a firearm, but in the event of an emergency. So if your firearm is located in your bag, you drive a large SUV, and let's just say that it's in the bed of your truck or in the very back of your SUV, and something happens, you have to be able to get to that backpack and be able to get the firearm out. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying that you'll ever need to, but to have it loosely kind of thrown around or it's in the bed of your truck, you may be put into a situation to where you're not going to be able to get to your firearm. So that's something to consider. I definitely, with either one of these options and carrying it on your persons, I can't say it enough that if you're not comfortable with handling the firearm safely, don't carry it. Get some help, go down to the range, you know, spend the money, spend the time. Your life's worth it, your family's life's worth it. A situation is worth it as well. So let's kind of go back through it just real quick. So I do carry the Black Hawk. I'll put a link to this holster and some like it below if you're interested in these. It does have there is a finger brake, so it's locked in there. It does sit into your waistband deeply to where this isn't gonna, you could run, you could walk around, it's not gonna rip off of you. It does come with multiple attachments. You have to put your finger on it to lock it. That locking sound is it clipping in. It is built specific for your gun. which obviously does spread across multiple models and makes, but I do highly suggest this. The other nice thing about this is you can clip it depending on the vehicle you drive or you own. You can clip it not only in the vehicle, but you can also clip this, which has this cool clip on it, which digs in deep, at least if you're wearing a belt. It'll clip into your backpacks. It'll clip into your, if you get whether it's a bag like this or not, and it's got some folds in it, it will clip into that. This is a great alternative and a great option other than loosely throwing it in there. Which brings me to another point. I highly suggest not loosely throwing a gun into anything, especially if it's loaded. If you have a loaded firearm and you are carrying a loaded firearm, it needs to be secured somewhere, and throwing it into your bag and it getting jarred around with a bunch of your crap is not secured and it's not safe. So I highly suggest that you get either a holster of some sort. Even if this is in your bag, the lock does lock it in and you can clip it into something. So this is a great option. There's a lot of other great options, actually bags made just for handling firearms if that's the route you want to go. So let's kind of wrap it up there. I just wanted to throw this video together to talk about carry and conceal, carrying firearms on your persons. We're gonna do a couple more of these videos because there's some cool EDC stuff I want to talk about and a lot of other great options, but this is just one of many. If you guys are carrying firearms of any kind, whether it's a rifle or pistol or whatever it is, make sure to take the safety precautions. It only takes a few minutes to clear your weapons before you leave your home. While transporting, get to your whatever location, make sure it's a safe location to use your firearm. Check your local areas if you're unsure. Don't just go out and start being crazy. And that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions and comments, please drop them below. We are believers, obviously, in carrying firearms, owning firearms. We got a lot of cool videos coming. We appreciate you guys taking the time, checking out this video. If you guys liked it, make sure hit that like button. If you guys haven't subscribed, make sure hit that subscribe button at the end of the video or down below. We got some links to the stuff that we talked about today. And until next time, folks, be safe, don't mishandle your firearms, and we'll see you guys around.